Alright, what's going on, y'all? It's Cooper here, one half of FCSN. It is that time of the week to break down the college football playoff where I pick my 4 teams I think will be in the playoff, along with the 4 bubble teams who I think are just outside of it, working their way in. Before I jump into it, there's one thing I want to address real quick, and that is the SEC West. There is a ton of SEC West teams that are very good teams, and they're all in the top 10. But it's not realistic to have that many in the playoff and that many on the bubble. At the most, I can see realistically 2 SEC West teams in the college football playoff by year's end. That would only happen if an SEC West team wins the SEC championship, which is likely, and then there's another one-loss SEC West team out there. Then, yes, it's okay to have 2 SEC West teams in the playoff. But all these guys on the bubble, I cannot throw a bunch of SEC West teams on the bubble, so some teams are left out. Because of the fact, if there's only a one-loss SEC West team, and let's say there's an undefeated SEC West team that wins the SEC, people are going to have some losses. They're not going to have these good records. Maybe they're the best teams out there and the competition is great, but if your record isn't there, you can't be considered for the playoff. So I'm assuming ahead of time. I'm not looking at the record right now. I'm just kind of picking a team. I think overall the resume is impressive, and that puts them over other SEC West teams because I have to give other teams some shots. Like for Michigan State, for example, they have 1 loss, and they're going to work their way up by year's end, and the SEC West teams are going to play each other. So that's kind of my example, but enough of that. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. At the number 4 overall spot, I have got the Oregon Ducks. This is an example of a team on the outside looking in the AP poll, but I think they're going to continue to winning. I love Marcus Mariota. They took that 1 loss to Arizona because the offensive line was just horrendous. They got that 1 guy back, and then that changed the whole offensive line. Like, they're starting to play better. They've got some momentum behind Marcus Mariota, who I think is one of the Heisman contenders. I like the momentum of this Oregon team. I think they're going to continue to win in the Pac-12. And if they win that conference, they win out. There's no way you leave them out of this college football playoff. Move on to number 3 spot. I've got the Ole Miss Rebels, who had an impressive showing versus Tennessee over the weekend. Their defense is legit. They only give up 3 points to Tennessee. I know they have the best offense, but the Ole Miss defense is still pretty good. Bo Walsh has played much improved. He's been the leader of that offense, making plays for him. And overall, this Ole Miss team, is a very good overall team. I think if they maybe only lose 1 game throughout the whole year, maybe they go undefeated. I don't think there's any way you can leave them out of the playoff. Moving on to number 2, we got Florida State. They had a big-time statement game over Notre Dame. They played a top 5 opponent and came up with that win. Controversial call? I don't think it was. A lot of people are saying it was. They ran that play earlier on in the game. They have trips to one side, and they run the other guys to in, push the DBs in, which opens up the flat for that 1 guy. You can't do that. They're going out there with a clear intent of blocking and not running the route past the line of scrimmage. To me, it's an obvious foul. People, you can argue what you want, but Florida State won the game. They made this statement. I think Notre Dame and Florida State both helped their playoff chances with this game. I think Notre Dame looked really good. If they went out, they got a chance to get in here. And Florida State, they made the statement. They beat a top 5 team. There's not many tough teams left on the schedule, but you never know. They've been getting the best shot from everybody. You never know what can happen. But as of right now, I have Florida State at the number 2 overall spot. Move on to number 1, I got Mississippi State. They had a bye week this past week, so we couldn't see them do too much. But overall, I'm very impressed with the Mississippi State team. One of my favorite teams to watch. They've got great up front. They're on their defensive front. They just stuff the run. They rush the passer. They get a great push every time. They win the war in the trenches. They got great defensive backs. Dak Prescott is legit. He's not the most efficient passer, but the dude just makes plays. Like when you need him to make a play, he scores touchdowns, and that's all that matters. He's the leading Heisman contender in my opinion. So that's my top 4. And now breaking down to the matchups, we got 2 versus 3, Ole Miss, Florida State. I have Florida State winning this game. I think if it comes down to whose offense can put up more points, I think Florida State's going to be able to score on this Ole Miss team. Maybe they get a little bit of pressure on Jameis Winston and beat up the offensive line a little bit, but I still think Florida State's capable of putting up the points necessary, and I think if it gets to a shootout, Ole Miss can't keep up. So I have Florida State winning that game. Move on to 1 versus 4. We got Mississippi State and Oregon. I think Mississippi State just get in Mariota's face, beats him up, and I think Dak Prescott makes the necessary plays to win that game. That will make the national championship Florida State and Mississippi State. So down in that comment section below, I'm going to leave it up to you guys to let me know who you think will win that game. So with that said, though, I'm going to give you guys my 4 bubble teams. Let's go ahead and jump right into that. Alright, so here's a look at the teams I have on the bubble. At the 8th overall spot, I've got the Georgia Bulldogs, and here is why. They're in the SEC East. If they're able to win the SEC East, they're in the SEC Championship. If they win that SEC East, they're in the SEC championship. And they may lose to Auburn by year's end. That's not really going to matter. If they're able to win the SEC East, they are in Atlanta. And you never know what can happen when it comes down to one game. If Georgia somehow happens to, by miracle, not miracle, but if they're able to pull that out, the SEC championship, if you win the SEC, I don't see how you can deny them for the college football playoffs. So yes, the SEC West or SEC East is nowhere close to where the SEC West is. But if Georgia continues to win, finds a way to get to Atlanta, and somehow wins that game, it's tough to deny them. So that's why I have Georgia in the 8th overall spot. Moving on, Notre Dame. I am impressed. Everett Golston is legit. This Notre Dame team, very well coached, very disciplined, very efficient, and they gave Florida State a heck of a ball game. I think they actually helped their playoff stock. I have to drop them a little bit because of the laws, but I think if they win out, it's going to be tough to deny Notre Dame a playoff spot. Move on, we got Auburn. I pick Auburn over Alabama because I have to pick between the two. I think if Auburn played Alabama, like right now, I think Auburn is the better team. Alabama had an impressive showing over the weekend, but overall, I think Auburn is just a more well-rounded team, and their offense is very hard to stop. I think Auburn wins that Iron Bowl, and that's why I have Auburn at this 5th or 6th overall spot. Move on, got Michigan State. This is the best team in the Big Ten, in my opinion, and they're going to continue to win. Their defense is good. Their offense is efficient. They move the ball. They can run it. Now they have a little bit more of a passing game. That game versus Ohio State is going to be big. The winner of that game will most likely find a way into the playoff as well. So with that said, let me know your top 4 and then your 4 bubble teams in that comment section below. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to us if you want more videos like this. Follow me on Twitter at CooperFCSN. And this is Cooper signing out.